What's the story, everyone? Welcome back to GA Fan TV. I hope you're all keeping well. This is the Gaelic Football Team of the Week. My Gaelic Football Team of the Week, of course, from the All-Ireland semi-finals. Now, I do tend to put these out on Instagram on a weekly basis, but of course, with all the craziness in the championship of the past couple of weeks, all the games, all the interviews, everything that's been taking place on the channel, I haven't always had time, of course, to discuss this in more detail on the YouTube channel, and of course, that is what I'm going to be doing today. So I will put the team on screen at the end of the video so you can have a look in full detail for yourself. But we will go through it one by one here, first of all. And of course, this is the team from just the semi-final, so this isn't the all-star team of the year or anything like that so far. This is simply the best 15 players from the two semi-finals that took place at the weekend. So the goalkeeper, first of all, I've gone for Stephen Cluxton in goal. And look, listen, I know David Clark had a very impressive game in many ways for some people in the game versus Tipperary. To be honest, I was a bit surprised by the amount of praise he got on social media. Look, listen, I did think David Clark made a couple of good saves here and there, but I do think, there were some suspect moments in there for me. He did concede 3 goals, and I think as well his kickouts in the first half were a little bit questionable. Tipperary pressed quite high up on his kickouts. And that did cause a couple of problems for Mayo quite early on when Tipperary were able to win the ball in the midfield and create a couple of goal chances when they were floating long balls into the likes of Conor Sweeney and Michael Quinlivan. And yeah, even towards the end of the game as well, he got caught really flat-footed late on and completely misjudged the ball, and Quinlivan actually had an open goal to kick into. It was literally in the last minute of the game. It wouldn't have made a difference anyway had it have gone in, but at the same time, yeah, I do think Clark, although he did have a very good game, to be fair to him, I do think he did have a couple of suspect moments. And Cluxton, for me, he done all the simple things right. Well, you could say he probably wasn't as involved as David Clark in his semi-final against Cavan. But he dealt with a lot of the high balls really well over Thomas Galligan. I think he made a save for Martin Riley in the second half as well. His kickouts were superb. He did have one that went astray, I believe, in the first half. But generally speaking, his kickouts were fantastic. And he done about everything right in the game from a Dublin point of view. Moving on to the full back line, and I don't think really it can only be surprises. It's all Dublin players. And I don't think that's a big surprise really, because all of the other 3 teams conceded 20 plus in the game, so I don't really think you can really look at it as too much of a surprise. So we've Michael Fitzsimons, Davy Byrne and Owen Merchant, all fantastic for Dublin for me. Michael Fitzsimons has been definitely a shoe-in probably for in Team of the Year without doubt. He's been fantastic in that full back line, very good defensively. Kept a lot of Cavan's very talented full forward line out of the game in many ways, the likes of Gerald McKernan. Although he did kick a couple of bright points, I do think Dublin done a great job on him. I think Davy Byrne the same, and Owen Merchant as well, just managing that full back line brilliantly. And certainly Cavan didn't have as many good options in attack. You think of the likes of Conor Madden, you think the likes of Thomas Galligan, even at times breaking forward. Anytime the high balls went in there, I thought Fitzsimons, Byrne and Merchant, whether it was any of the 3 of them, were able to deal with it really, really well. And certainly Cavan, when they did try to break beyond Dublin a little bit, and even in the second half when they were floating long balls in, I thought Dublin's full back line did a brilliant job at keeping it astray. Moving on to the half back line. So first of all, here we've Paddy Durkin in at number 5. This was a bit of a difficult one in some ways, because I don't really know if there was an all-in-all brilliant number 5 at the weekend, but I didn't want to put players in their wrong position, so I've gone for Paddy Durkin. I think Johnny Cooper had a very poor game for Dublin. I'd be very surprised if he even starts in the final, in all honesty. So I think he certainly can't get in contention for this one. I think you're then looking at Tipperary. I think you look at how much they conceded. They were losing ball a lot of the time in their own defence, so I don't think you can give it to any of them. And I think the same probably from Cavan as well. So I think Paddy Durkin gets in there. Although he did have a couple of defensive problems, I don't think you can blame Mayo's poor defence down to him. And he did contribute with a point in the game. He got forward when he needed to, and he done the simple things right. So I think Paddy Durkin gets in there. Kieran Brady getting in at number 6. And yeah, look, listen, I think Kieran Kilkenny has been a shoe-in for Player of the Year so far. But I thought Kieran Brady done a great job on him, in particular in the first half. I think late on in the second half, when Cavan were more and more going for the game, I think Cavan had to get more men forward, and that did leave more space for Dublin to really attack Cavan, especially in their half-back line. But I think Kieran Brady done a great job, and I think he's done a great job in general for this Cavan side, so I think he gets in there. Robbie McDade, I think he, was fantastic as well. Could arguably say one of the players of the week. I think it's obviously Killian O'Connor is definitely player of the week without doubt. But I think Robbie McDade in particular, 1-1 in the game. Brilliant again defensively. And yeah, showing that he does actually have a good bit of output going forward. Because I think that was always one thing you looked at Robbie McDade when you compare him to the likes of maybe Jack McCaffrey. Is does he have the same options going forward? And we seen in that game he definitely does. He got himself a goal. He was good going forward, got himself a point as well. So I think all in all, Robbie McDade, very, very impressive performance from a Dublin point of view. Going into the midfield, we have both Matthew Ruan and Brian Fenton. I suppose, first of all, Matthew Ruan, brilliant for Mayo. The amount of turnovers Mayo were winning. I think I've seen somewhere that Mayo had 27 turnovers. In the they won 27 turnovers in that game versus Tipperary, and Matthew Ruan was certainly key to the majority of that. I think Conor Loftus was brilliant as well for Mayo. Both their midfield were fantastic, but in particular Matthew Ruan, he is a very attacking midfielder as well. He gets forward, he contributes with points, finds himself in the attacking positions as well. Great at running off the shoulder, and he definitely caused Tipperary a lot of problems in the game. I think he played that long ball in for Diarmuid O'Connor as well, that goal right before the end of the first half. So certainly Matthew Ruan getting in there. Brian Fenton, no real surprises here, 4 points. If Killian O'Connor didn't have the display that he had against Tipperary, I think Brian Fenton would have been the player of the week. He was outstanding, 4 points from midfield, controlling the tempo. Dublin have to be very patient against Cavan, because Cavan did sit back quite deep and they got everyone inside their own full back line, and certainly Brian Fenton had to be patient on the ball. Dublin had to be patient, work it side to side, kick points when the opportunities presented themselves, work it, from the half forward line to the full forward line, and rotate the ball quite a lot. And I thought Fenton was just brilliant at that. And certainly, one of the best Dublin players of all time, in my opinion, and certainly in the midfield, outstanding. And I would fully expect him to probably be in the All-Star Team of the Year at the end of the year, and certainly be in contention for Footballer of the Year as well. Moving into the half-forward line, it was, a couple of difficult choices in here. I went with Martin Riley, though, of Cavan, out on the right-hand side. I thought, he did do quite well. He caused Johnny Cooper a lot of problems. I was saying there that Johnny Cooper had a very poor game, and I think one of the reasons for that was Martin Riley gave him a lot of problems. Kicked 3 points. Johnny Cooper probably could have been black-carded as well, and I thought Martin Riley had a very good game for Cavan at times. He had a goal chance as well, I think, in the second half, so I think for me he gets in there. Kieran Kilkenny getting in there. While it wasn't, as good of a performance as some of his other games, I think Kieran Kilkenny again is another player in contention with being Footballer of the Year. Hit 4 points in the game. And again, just he was always a very, very talented footballer. I don't think anyone could have any doubts about that. But certainly this year, he seems to add a lot more scoring to his game than previous years. And certainly for me, Kieran Kilkenny gets in there. Diarmuid O'Connor then gets in, of course, over on the left-hand side of the half-forward line. And certainly, he got himself a goal in the game. He was brilliant at getting forward. Played a part in a couple of Mayo's goals, of course, as well. In terms of, being on the end of a couple of passes and playing a couple of passes as well, or being involved and contributing to some of those attacks. So, yeah, I think Diarmuid O'Connor gets in there as well. You could have looked at maybe Niall Scully. You could have maybe looked at some of the other Dublin lads on the day, or even some of the Tipperary players as well. But I think in all, I think Diarmuid O'Connor for me gets in there. The full forward line. You have Tommy Conroy first of all there at number 13. I think it was touch and go between him and Con O'Callaghan. Con O'Callaghan also hit 4 points. Tommy Conroy hit 4 points. But I think the reason why I went with Tommy Conroy was because Mayo were turning the ball over quite a lot in Tipperary's full-back line, like we have just mentioned, and Tommy Conroy was critical to that. The pressure he put on Tipperary's defence and possession was key, and I think that's the reason why he just about edges in front of Con O'Callaghan. But certainly Con O'Callaghan, what am I saying? Con O'Callaghan can certainly be in contention with getting in the All-Star Team of the Year. He's definitely not a million miles away, in my opinion. Conor Sweeney in at number 14, no surprises. here either. Yeah, you know, what a performance it was from him. 1-9, 8 of them from place balls, 1-1 from play. Could have even had more in the game as well if he had taken that early goal chance. He was catching a lot of high ball, creating a number of chances for this Tipperary side. And certainly on another day, you know, he could have said Conor Sweeney one of the more impressive players on the pitch. But of course, because of what Cillian O'Connor done for Mayo, I don't think anyone can really have any surprises that he got all the accolade and all the attention after the game. But certainly Conor Sweeney definitely gets in probably in contention with Footballer of the Year. Another player that definitely deserves a mention, and certainly a player that will be in the All-Star Team of the Year without a doubt. Cillian O'Connor gets in at number 15. Last but not least, I don't think this can be any surprises whatsoever. Yeah, what a performance. 4-9 on the day. He was substituted early on as well in preparation for the final. Probably would have scored even more had he have played the entire 70 minutes. Wow, just what a performance. Getting in the right positions in the right moments. Kicking points off the shoulder. You know, just an all-around brilliant performance. Catching a lot of high ball as well ahead of his man, and his finishing was superb as well. Just all in all, really, really top class performance, and he reads the game better than most people as well. I think we've seen that when Liam Casey's loose pass, although you could say it was a poor pass by Liam Casey, and it certainly was, I do think at the same time, you know, not many players would judge that always. Not many players would always follow that up or anticipate a player making a mistake like that. And certainly Cillian O'Connor was in the right place at the right time to capitalise on mistakes when Tipperary made them. So certainly for me, Cillian O'Connor, player of the week without doubt, and gets in at number 15. If we have a look right now at the team in full there, so as you can see, Cluxton in goal, Fitzsimons, Byrne, Merchant, Durkin, Brady, McDade. You've Rowan and Fenton in the midfield. Then you have Martin Riley, Kieran Kilkenny, German O'Connor, Tommy Conroy, Conor Sweeney, and Cillian O'Connor. Let me know down in the comments below, you know, what changes you'd make. In terms of some of the comments that I put out, or some comments that came on the Instagram post. I know some people were saying that David Clark should have got in ahead of Stephen Cluxton, even though he conceded 3 goals. But for me, you know, as I said before, I think Clark still did have 1 or 2 errors in the performance overall. And although Mayo were very poor defensively, he did make a couple of good saves, and you know, maybe he does get in over Cluxton. But I do think overall that Cluxton, he was better at judging the high balls. And he just done the simple things a lot more efficiently, in my opinion. But we'll have to see how the final goes. Certainly, that will be interesting as always. But anyway, lads, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up here. Let me know down in the comments below who maybe you would have put in this team ahead of any of the players chosen. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next video.